Welcome, friends. It is Sunday morning, so we're going to do another post-Depression, pre-World War II recipe from My Favorite Recipe, published by the Stainer Sun. Now, when I say post-Depression, pre-World War II, this was published in 1938, so just as Canada was starting to claw out of the Depression, but about a year before we entered the war in 1939, and things got really dark again. So there are glimmers of hope in this book, and I think this is one of them. Today we're going to do a recipe called cornflake macaroons, which is different than a macaron, but you can see that they have that they share a similarity in that they're both made with egg whites, but it is a macaroon spelled differently. And it starts out with egg whites that you beat to stiff peaks. So if you've got a really good balloon whisk, it doesn't take long to get stiff egg whites. As long as you're using a glass or metal bowl, never use a plastic bowl, and make sure that the glass or metal is extremely clean, because any oil in there will certainly make it much harder or almost impossible. Now, as much as this recipe is from the 1930s, I've got a recipe here on the go also. It is French-Canadian yellow pea soup, which traces its origins all the way back to the first French settlements in Canada in the early 1600s. So take a look for that recipe later in the week. It's a really good one. So we've got stiff peaks. Next in is some sugar, and you want to whip that in as well. Now, if I was making this today, I would say to use a fruit sugar or a quick dissolving sugar. Regular kitchen granulated sugar, white sugar, isn't going to dissolve into here as quickly, but still, we're doing pretty well. Just going to go until that's nice and glossy, almost there. The next ingredient is some vanilla, and I'm going to stick with the whisk. Just beat that in as well. I think we're good, so we'll just get the eggs out of the middle of this whisk, and we're going to switch to a spatula to fold in the rest of the ingredients. Okay. That's just amazing. I could eat that all day long, just the way it is. We don't need to do anything else. But we are going to do something else. Now we're going to add cornflakes, something I don't eat a lot of, but we're going to throw those in. Haven't had cornflakes in a long time. Yep, just as I remember. And we're going to put in some chopped nuts. You could use walnuts, you could use pecans, you could use butternuts. Butternuts would be really good in this, and butternuts would be historically right for this dish based on where this recipe is coming from. So I'm going to put those in, and we're just going to fold them in. Okay, the next step, it says to drop them by spoonfuls onto a well-buttered pan. I'm going to use parchment paper because I think that parchment paper is probably better than buttered pan. And let's see if we can do it somewhat artfully. I'm going to use a scoop just to get the right shape. You could try to make a quenelle, but I think that the inclusion of cornflakes might make it difficult to get a nice quenelle shape. The scoop seems to be working just fine. Let's get them in the oven and see what happens.
So Glenn, I can smell these outside. They
Yep.
smell fabulous, and they look. I'm just based. Are you going to enter them in the fall fair?
I can't. Look at that. That is that.
Why not?
That does not look good. Anyway, some of them I got the shape right. It's almost impossible
Well,
to
they
get.
smell great.
They do smell great. But it's hard to get a good shape because it's got nuts and cornflakes in it, and cornflakes. They don't really.
They have some irregular shapes.
Yeah,
and
they're
crunchy bits.
yeah. It just
But I
wasn't
bet
going to
they're
work
crunchy.
So,
Hold on. Maybe no one ever gets them to look great.
oh, probably not.
So
Well, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. So this is a macaroon, not a macaron. Let's try this one because we can break it in half fairly easily. You want the
Okay.
big half or the small half?
I'll take this half so it's close to me.
Okay.
All right. So they're super crunchy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the nut, and somehow they reminded me of basically sugar-coated cornflakes.
Yeah. I would being me, leave out the sugar and mix in maple syrup instead.
Ah, yes, of course you would.
You know, because maple syrup would make this taste just absolutely fantastic.
So then what is in the, is this part of this? Like, was this something?
That is French Canadian pea soup,
Oh.
habitant. So we'll have that after.
Oh, after the cookies. I like how you ordered
We'll
that.
start with the cookies. So I would give these a try, and I mean, you could put almost anything in here. You could put Rice
Crunchy.
Krispies in here. You could put chana in here. Different types of nuts. You don't have to put any of that in.
Really just a collection of crunchy things
Yeah.
would probably work, it seems.
I'd give them a try. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.